Alright, I am back with another Destiny 2 video, and I am going to do not an Arc 3.0 build, because this new Hunter exotic is so absurd and a lot of fun. And here I am in 2022 using a Rat King build, not only Rat King, but a Charged with Light Rat King build that has been a lot of fun so far. This was suggested to me by a couple people online, and I gave it a shot here. And I kind of wanted to just go through it to talk about kind of the aspects that make it up, why it's so fun, why it's effective. Not going to be like, the most meta thing for GMs or anything. I mean, you can't even put an anti-champion mod on Rat King, but I do think this exotic in general is going to be great for higher level content. One issue here is that mine is a base 58 with 2 recovery, so that is pretty bad. So I'm trying to hold out for a better one. But this is the Gyrfalcon's Hauberk, I think that's how you pronounce it, and it does 2 main things. You get a bonus weapon damage after you emerge from being invisible, and then on top of that, when you are invisible and if you defeat a combatant using a finisher, you and your allies get a reserve overshield and improved class ability regen. This stores an overshield where it will pop up when you next use your class ability. I don't know how strong the overshield is, but I think it's going to be somewhat useful in higher level content, and that will obviously trigger all the Void Overshield stuff as well. But the main thing here is the bonus damage you get after emerging from being invisible, which I think is something like 35%. So the goal of this build is to be invisible as much as possible, because every time you come out, you will get that, I think it's 5 seconds of bonus damage. So here we have Surprise Attack. This is a Charge with Light thing that gives you bonus damage to your sidearm when you are charged with light, consuming a stack of that. This does not actually stack with the 35% bonus, but what this does is when you do not have that bonus up, you will be getting bonus damage from this anyway. You can skip the whole charge with light thing, and if you just want to do a more normal elemental well build, you are free to. It's just that I haven't used charge with light or surprise attack in so long, I figured it was good to do for kind of novelty's sake here. And the main other exotic of this is obviously Rat King. Rat King is the exotic that turns you invisible if you reload after a kill. And considering that will happen very frequently, this is yet another way. There are a few ways to turn invisible with this build, like 4 other ways, but this will mean you're invisible really, really often, all the time. And then Rat King also benefits from the 40% damage to red bars bonus, so it is just a mob clearing machine in addition to granting you bonus damage. So like you can get the bonus damage triggered off of Rat King invisibility, but then switch to one of your other weapons, and that will still be getting the bonus damage from the emerge from invisibility buff. So you can turn invisible with Rat King, switch to your other weapon, emerge from invisibility, and then you'll get that buff. Your other weapons are kind of just your own call of what you want to use in any given context. I have this Void shotgun with Vorpal that I like to de-aside. You can use for whatever you want here, essentially, for a special weapon. Same thing with here. I have the other half mostly because I'm leveling the other half, but obviously, you can do something more meta like the Taipan. Having 3 super close range things may not be ideal here, so you might want something like a Taipan for more ranged enemies if you need that, and obviously like boss DPS if you can't sword the boss. But we'll switch back to armor. I have Powerful Friends going. May not need this per se, but again, I haven't done Charge with Light in so long that this is actually kind of fun to use again. Get that 20 mobility bonus. Mobility does suck, and yet you're getting bonus recharge speed on your class ability and Hunters at least, so that's something. I have Kinetic Siphon on because Rat King is kinetic, and even though that costs a lot of energy, you kind of need it for taking charge, which will make you charge with light by picking up orbs of power. Also have this on, just grant class ability energy when you damage enemy with a melee attack, so that's more invisible dodging. I have Swift Charge, which is will also charge you with lights when you are getting rapid sidearm kills. So that is, very stackable with Surprise Attack, and in other way you will be kind of constantly charged with light. I have Supercharge, so you can hold a lot of stacks of charged with light if you need to. I don't know if this is necessarily like the best one here, but it's, I don't know. I find I'm kind of amassing a lot of those. You can pick kind of whatever you want. I had a hybrid version of this earlier where you were like also doing elemental wells, and you can be charged with light by picking up elemental wells. It's kind of just what you want in terms of what you're going for the build. I think an elemental well build could be better overall with all the ability recharge you get and stuff. It's just that since you're primarily using Rat King all the time, stuff like stuff that does stack, like what's it called, Font of Might. So Font of Might would stack with the invisibility buff, but that would work with these two, but not Rat King because that's not Void. The other aspects of this are the aspects and fragments. So this is Stylish Executioner, where any Void debuff on an enemy will cause you to become invisible, and then you also can weaken enemies by doing this when your melee attack weakens targets. One more thing about Gryphon's Hauberk that is not mentioned there: if you do the invisible finisher thing, it will create a volatility AoE attack. So like all enemies around that enemy will become volatile. So I don't know why that's not listed, but that is something else it does. And then Vanishing Step, where just dodge makes you invisible, so more invisibility there. I have suppression grenades on for help with Stylish Executioner. You can't do anything besides Snare Bomb. There's only one thing there. I have Gambler's Dodge for reloading the Snare Bomb. This I have giving us volatile rounds on Void weapons, which I don't know if this is necessarily the best call here because I don't have tons of grenade recharge on this build, so maybe I could pick something better for that. This one, my stats are not like the greatest, so I'm taking buffs when I can take them. So this is Resilience for melee final blows start health regeneration, and then this is Recovery, but also Finisher blows grant invisibility, which I think is your 4th or 5th way to become invisible with this build. And then this is Echo of Domineering. After suppressing a target, you gain mobility and your weapon is reloaded, so this works with the suppression grenade. This worked better when you could do things like suppressing glaive, but is another thing that gives me more stats. And you can kind of swap in and out what you want here. Void abilities cause targets to explode. You can do weakening void grenades. You can do Devour on Orb of Power. This might be a good call here, honestly. It just, it's going to cost me one of these stat boosts here. I might actually sub this in for volatile rounds because I'm using Rat King so much that, alright, so free flying change here. And then I'll play some footage here of me using this. And again, this is not high level content. This is just an expedition, but if you're looking for something fun to run that is not, a punchy Arc 3.0 hunter, I think this is kind of, a blast, and I have had a lot of fun just trying to go invisible as much as humanly possible with all these different mechanisms. And I'm honestly having a little bit more fun with this than I was Arc Hunter, because so many Arc Hunter builds are kind of centered around melee, 1-2 punch thing with whatever the Liar's Handshake and stuff, and that's okay, or something like that's buffing your grenades, like Shinobi's Vow, and it's fine, it's good, it's just a little boring for me. But this one with the just constant damage buff and the mechanic of just trying to keep up invisibility is a lot of fun. Other things you can use for this build, besides Rat King, if you just don't want to use Rat King, which, I can understand that. Heart Shadow, the sword that gives you invisibility, and then you can weaken enemies with a debuff from that, doing damage while you're invisible. Or Collective Obligation. After Collective Obligation got a bazillion buffs. This actually synergizes really well with Gyrfalcon, and is a good alternative there. That would require me owning Collective Obligation, which I do not, because I am not Mr. Vow Clearer here, as everyone knows. But those are kind of alternate options to use a Gyrfalcon. I can see this being, a pretty good high-level build here, where, you can see the loop of the increased damage, and then also providing, constant invisibility, constant overshields, class regen ability, volatility. It's a lot of utility in one piece of armor, and I think we're going to see that as an option for hunters in higher level content. Not that it helps with DPS or anything like that necessarily. And the super I'm using is what's it called? The Mobius Quiver one. So I just like that one. That's the most fun one there. But a lot of this is kind of up to you. There's not a super fixed, a set of things that you need to do to make this work. I just think Rat King is the most fun with invisibility, and the entire thing centers around the Gyrfalcon rotation. But again, you can also make a very fun Elemental Well version of this with a, maybe a Void primary instead of a Kinetic primary. So I would raid lost sectors till you get this. I need a better one. Again, mine is terrible. So I'm going to need to do a little bit better with my with my current setup here in terms of getting higher stats on that. All my builds, I'm never great at like min-maxing stats. I know some people have that all like perfectly doled out, but that's never really been me. If I got to like 100 resilience on a lot of my builds, I would be happy with that. But these days, I'm kind of taking what I can get. So I would just give this a shot. I might do some of my other builds. I am still on Arc 3.0 on my Warlock and my Titan, using the new Warlock exotic. I am not using the new Titan exotic because it sucks, but I am using an old Titan exotic that is a lot of fun. Spoilers, it is Heart of Inmost Light, which is super dope with Arc 3.0, especially even more fun than it was with when I was using it on Void 3.0 for that whole season. So I'll do that in a different video, a different time. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I will talk to you later. Take care.